بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are starting a new series today, inshallah, on our series of Quran analysis. So far, we've done two surahs. We've done Surah Taghabun, we've done Surah Al-Qamar, and today, inshallah, we are starting Surah Al-Hadid. And normally, whenever we start a new series like this, I'd like us to just be in that zone to set our intentions and to remind ourselves the importance of doing something like this so that when we enter into this beautiful journey that's going to take us a couple of months, we are aware why we're doing this. And even if we lose sight, but we at least let us begin on the right footing. So that's how we're going to begin. We're going to begin by setting the intentions. We need to ask ourselves, why are we here? Why are we doing this? What is motivating us to do this? Or what will motivate us to continue doing this? Who are we doing it for? Are we doing it for ourselves or for others? So that is very important. We have to make sure that our intentions are pure for the sake of Allah. We are trying to learn the Quran and understand the speech of God so that we can love Him and worship Him the way that the best we can. And again, we have to also find out, and these are questions you can ask yourselves, what will help me stay on course? What will help me continue to stay disciplined so that even if it's not about this course, you can think about any other course that you're doing, any other study that you're doing. What will help me to stay on course in that particular study so that I can maintain the discipline and the focus as far as learning the Book of Allah is concerned. So that's a very important beginning point. Set the intentions and make sure that you're doing this for the sake of Allah to understand His book and to understand what He's trying to communicate to us. Remember, the Quran is the intimate letters from Allah to us. So we need to figure out what these letters are saying. So what is this series about? Like we mentioned, we've been doing this for some time now, alhamdulillah. This series is about, again, just being with the Quran, connecting with the Quran, doing tadabbur of the Quran. And there's this beautiful hadith that is reported by Anas ibn Malik, where he says, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, verily, Allah has His own people. And the word that is used for His own people is actually ahleen, which means family. Can you imagine that Allah has a family? Like, what does that even mean? In the Arabic, you can see I quoted the Arabic here. The word is ahl, family. Allah has His own family among humanity. Allah has His own people among humanity. And so they said, the Sahaba were like, what? Allah has a family? O Messenger of Allah, who are they? Who are these people? Then the Prophet ﷺ said, they are the people of the Quran, the people of Allah, and His chosen ones. And so the purpose of this journey, of doing this series, is for us to be among the people of Allah, the people of Quran, and His chosen ones, His family. May Allah make us among those people. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. And may Allah make the Quran so dear to our hearts. And may He open the understanding for us as we enter into this journey. Now, we're going to just mention a little bit of the introduction about the surah, just so that we can have an overview of what this surah is all about before we enter into it. Because it's important to have a background information before you enter into any surah to understand if there's any reason for revelation, or when was it revealed, or who was it talking about, or, the background information, basically. So this surah is actually a Medinan surah. What does that mean? It means it was revealed in Medina. So we know the Prophet lived in two cities. So he was born in Mecca, raised in Mecca, got his revelation in Mecca. But then, because Mecca was so inhospitable to them, to the Muslims, they migrated to Medina, which accepted them, and they formed the first Muslim state in Medina. So there are some surahs that were revealed in Mecca. There are some surahs that were revealed in Medina. The surah that we did previously, Surah Al-Qamar, was revealed in Mecca. Now we're moving on to the Medinan phase, and we're looking at a surah that was revealed in Medina. But the interesting thing about this surah is that even though it was revealed in Medina, it has a Meccan style. And what do we mean by it has a Meccan style? We mean that it shows certain characteristics of Meccan surah. In Mecca, most of the surahs that were revealed in Mecca, they were talking about Tawheed, oneness of God. They were talking about, just belief, iman, disbelief, kufr. They were talking about Jannah, Jahannam. These are the concepts that are found in the Meccan surah. The Medinan surahs are mostly about laws and regulations, do's and don'ts, if you will, the Sharia and all that. Because already everybody is assumed to be Muslim, so there's no need to talk about Tawheed. There's no need to talk about oneness of God. Now we're just talking about do's and don'ts. This is how you pray. This is how you wash yourself. This is how you do tayammum, and so on and so forth. So that kind of talaq and marriages and whatnot and divorce and things like that. All right. But this surah, at the beginning of it, has a Makkan style, and we'll look at it when we're doing the explanation. It is also the first of no, well, al-musabbihat. These are maybe not the first in this category, if you will. There's this category of surahs from 57 to 65, I think, or 60 something surahs, and this is the first one that is from the category called al-musabbihat. What do we mean by al-musabbihat? These are surahs that start with sabbaha or yusabbihu, or the amr form of it, the command form of it, any kind of, or sabbih isma rabbika al-a'la. All these surahs are called musabbihat, and so that means that this surah begins with a form of tasbih. It is surah number 57, whose pair is surah number 64. And the reason why I wanted to do this surah is because we did surah number 64. Surah number 64 is surah Taghabun. So I wanted to do surah number 57, which is surah Al-Hadid, because they are sisters, they are pairs. So I wanted to see the similarities between these two surahs as well. It has only 29 ayat, so it's not really a long surah, as we're going to see. Surah Al-Qamar, the one we did before, had 55 ayat, although they were short. This is slightly longer, but it's more or less the same length, if you will. And the most important thing that we need to remember are these 2 points. The first one, it was revealed between the Battle of Uhud and the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. Battle of Uhud, that's 3rd year. Hudaybiyah, that's 6th year. So somewhere between the 4th and the 5th year, we're expecting that this surah came down. And we'll see the significance of that. Because I want you to imagine the new state has been formed. The new state was formed when the Prophet migrated to Medina, first of Hijrah, first AH, year 1. And then year 2, they went to war. That was Badr. So a war has already happened. And then year 3, Uhud happened. So already this young state that was just formed a year, 2 years ago, is already going to war and expedition, and it's already suffering losses, and it's expanding. It's going through a lot of political, economic, and social struggles. So that's a very important thing to understand what is happening in Medina this early on. Then the other thing to understand about the audience in Mecca is that there are 3 kinds of audiences in Mecca. So you have the truest believers. These are people who became Muslims in Mecca when they were being tried, and you have those who accepted, like they're true Muslims. They really accepted this. The Ansar who took up the Muhajirin and sacrificed everything. So you have these are true believers. They're willing to die for this religion. They're willing to sacrifice anything for this religion. So that's the Abu Bakrs, the Umars, the Sa'ad, that category of people. And then you have just your average Muslims. These are people, just your normal people. Like, they haven't sacrificed much, but they have accepted the mission. Me and you, our average Muslims, right? And then you have a group of hypocrites. Now, this group of hypocrites is made up of, again, 2 categories of people. You have the Abdullah ibn Salul, the head of the hypocrites, and his group. These are people who entered into Islam while being disbelievers. They rejected the message. They entered into the message disbelieving in it. So they were just, it's like a front. They were like, oh, we are Muslims, but deep inside, they're like, no, we're not with you. They knew it. So yeah, these are the hypocrites, the big, the enemies of Islam at that time. Then you have another category of hypocrites. These are people who, okay, Islam was trending at that time, so they accepted Islam, but then later on they realized, well, this Islam thing is not an easy thing. Like, I can't make these sacrifices. I can't lose my life. I can't go to war. I can't give charity. I can't do these things they're asking me for. So now, even though they entered it with good intentions, now they're backing out of it. They're like, no, I didn't sign up for this. I can't do this. But because it's trendy, it's fashionable at the time to be Muslim in Medina, they're not really saying we're out of it. They're just pretending to be in it. So you have those kinds of people in Medina, and we'll see how this surah addresses the different groups in Medina. Another important thing to note is that the difference in Iman levels between Muslims in Mecca and Medina. When the Quran was being revealed in Mecca and people were accepting Islam in Mecca, basically your life was in danger if you accepted Islam. So you really had to have high Iman. I mean, you can just think about the torture that, for example, Bilal and Khabbab and all this different, and the family of Sumayya, this kind of torture that they went through, you had to have like a high level of Iman. So there was no hypocrites. There was nobody who was just testing waters. Is this Islam thing going to happen or not? No, you really had to be in it. So the level of Iman in Mecca was top notch, was way up there. And then you have the level of Iman in Medina, where now you have again all this bunch of peoples. You have the creme de la creme of Iman, and then you have your basic average Muslims, and then you have the hypocrites. So the general Iman level is actually low in Medina, which is important for us to understand why Allah revealed this surah the way He did. And we will explain this, I think, next week when we're looking at the translation, the explanation, sorry. Another thing is to understand is that the state of the young Muslim ummah at the time, again, like I mentioned, it was between wars and Hudaybiyah. So it was just a very tough economic time, a very tough social time because of hypocrites. You had the Jews that were causing trouble. You had the Quraysh was still causing trouble. I mean, it was a very difficult social political dynamic in Medina at that time. So the forming of a new state, you can imagine the challenges that a new state would go through during that time of the inception. What are the main themes of this surah? Spending in the path of Allah. Again, people are being urged to give in charity and in zakah and to spend in the cause of jihad. And also they're being asked to sacrifice for the sake of Allah, to go to jihad. In other words, Allah is trying to sift the hypocrites from the true believers by asking them to spend more. Because if they don't really believe in the cause, they're not going to spend on it. They're not going to sacrifice for it. So in other words, they're kind of being exposed in this ayat. And then you have the idea of light and iman. There's that whole scenery in the day of judgment where believers have light and hypocrites do not have light, and they're like, wait for us so that we can share on your light, and so on and so forth. It talks about the dunya and its deception, and then finally it also mentions something to do with power and justice, right? So I got this structure from Sheikh Suleiman Hani, his book, The Iron Healing. Let me just share with you this this link for those of you who might be interested in checking out this course. It's a very short learning plan on Quran.com. You can probably finish it in a day. It's very, very short. It's based on the book of Suleiman Hani, Sheikh Suleiman Hani, called The Iron Healing. And it talks about Surah Hadid, particularly. And it categorizes the entire surah into this 6 sections. So the first section, which we will cover today, probably 1 to 3 ayat. Who is Allah? Talks about the introduction. And then charity and sacrifice, like we mentioned. He talks about the afterlife. We mentioned a little bit about this. Revival of the heart. There's a famous ayah here that says, isn't it time for the believer, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنْ يَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, for their hearts to be revived, in other words. Yeah. And then divine decree talks about basically there's no calamity that strikes a person except that it has been written, has been decreed. So don't worry about calamities and whatnot. And then it ends with revelation and truth. It talks about messengers, and specifically it talks about Isa, and wraps up with people of taqwa. And that's kind of like how the surah is arranged. Now, normally I just like to give you tips on how we're going to do this. So, like I mentioned, the way we do this series is 1 week. We go through the Nahw, we go through the Sarf, so that we understand the ayahs correctly. Because the Nahw and the Sarf, especially the Nahw, will give you the meaning of the ayah. If you do not understand the Nahw properly, you will translate the ayah wrongly. And we know this because Arabic, if you put a dhamma on a place where there's a fatha, it turns from a fa'il to a maf'ul bihi. So therefore, you'll be translating a fa'il to a maf'ul bihi, which is wrong. So therefore, it is very important to understand the Nahw so that you can properly translate the ayah. And once you've properly translated the ayah, then now we can explain the ayah. So normally how we do it, 1 week, we go through the Nahw and the Sarf. So for those who are interested in just the Nahw and the Sarf, they can watch the Nahw and the Sarf part. For those who are interested in the explanation, they can watch the explanation part. And for those who are interested in both, they can watch both parts together so they can get more benefit. So 1 week, Nahw and Sarf. The next week, we cover the explanation. That's how we run this series. So how to do Nahw? Ask yourself what kind of a sentence is it. That's how we start any sentence. We ask ourselves, is it jumla fi'aliyah or jumla ismiyah? If it is a jumla fi'aliyah, we are looking for fa'il, fa'il, maf'ul, muta'alliq. Those are 4 compartments when we see a jumla fi'aliyah. And then we ask ourselves, is it an inside pronoun or an outside pronoun? Is it an inside pronoun? And if so, can we find an outside doer? All right. And then if it's a jumla ismiyah, we look for the mubtada, the khabar, and the muta'alliq bil khabar. And then after we found this main components, then we can ask ourselves, oh, is there anything else? Is there a tamyiz? Is there a sifa? Is there a tawkid? Is there whatever else? This we can find them later. But the main components is fa'il, fa'il, maf'ul, muta'alliq, or mubtada, khabar, muta'alliq. Right? How to do sarf? First of all, you identify the jidr. Look for the jidr. Then you identify the bab. What do we mean by the bab? We mean the family. Is it family 1? Is it family 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 10? And then you identify the sigha. Is it madi, mudari', amr? What is it? Is it ism tafdil? Is it whatever it is? We identify it. And then you do the sarf. For example, fataha yaftahu fath, fahuwa fatih. Then you do the entire sarf. Once you have figured out the jidr, the bab, and the sigha. And the most important thing for those of you who would be joining me in the explanation bit is how to do tadabbur. For example, you're watching or you're listening with me and you're wondering, how can I be able to do this myself? How can I be able to look at the ayah after I have done the Nahw and the Sarf? How can I be able to extract the explanation out of it? First of all, the most important thing is ask Allah to purify your intention and open for you understanding, and make lots of dua about this. And then just read the surah. Just read it. Whether it's in Arabic, whether it's in English, whether it's in your mother tongue, just read it as many times as you can and just trying to focus on what Allah is saying. What can you be able to understand from what Allah is saying? And then try noting down any correlations between the ayah. Anything that pops up in your mind, just note it down. Or any question. When you're reading an ayah and a question pops up in your mind, write it down. Even if you don't know the answer, just write it down. And then you look at the grammar for any gems. Sometimes you have muqaddam, you have iqtisas, you have these concepts that Ustad has talked about, or we know the jar majroor has come before. That means it's muqaddam. That means there is iqtisas. Oh, so what does that mean? So that gives you extra information. And then, of course, if you can and you have the time, listen to the Deeper Look series. If the surah is available on Bayina TV, so that you can understand even deeper on how Ustad is doing this. And if you have even more time, you can read other sources like books of tafsir, lectures, articles, whatever else you can. So do as much as you can. And I welcome questions in this series, and I welcome comments and your own reflections if you have anything to add. So that's basically the introduction of that. And now that we have the introduction down, alhamdulillah, what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at the Nahw and hopefully the Sarf. Okay. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. I don't know if it will. And by the way, normally I urge people to, participate. So if you want to participate and just do the Nahw with me, I welcome that, because I'd rather you do it with me as opposed to just me doing it for you. Like, it's much better if we are all participating. I realize that maybe there could be some new members here who've never been a part of this. So if there's anybody who wants to participate and do the i'rab with me, raise your hand or unmute yourself, and then we can begin. I normally do this with Sultana, but Sultana today is not available. So if there's anybody else, please let me know. If not, I will go through the i'rab myself, no problem. All right, great. So we have Ima, Sister Ima. You can.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do you have a question, or do you want to do it?
No, I was gonna do the Arab.
I'rab. Okay, great.
I mean, if you're ready. If you're not.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Maybe Ima, before you begin, there's echoing on your side, so I don't know if there's something you can mute.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Hang on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah. And there's no echoing.
There's no echo. Okay.
Oh, there is. It's still
No
there.
echo.
Sorry.
It's still there. Sorry. Wait now. Okay, try now. Still?
Let's see. Still there.
Okay.
Maybe you've opened two windows or something.
Yeah, no, I was mirroring, so
I see.
it's fine. I
Yeah,
turned it
now
off.
it's good.
Okay. So, do you want to lead or I just go?
Yeah, so you can just go just look at Sabbaha. What do you think Sabbaha is? And then we can I can just type it out.
Sin, Ba and Ha, family 2, Alama.
Okay, so before we go, so I forgot to explain this. So normally what I do is we go through the Nahw first, and then we can do the Sarf later. So in the Sarf section, that's probably where we do the jidr. Okay, so maybe I can give an example. Maybe you can do the first ayah as an example, or like the first section as an example, and then we can do it together.
So Sabha is fi'il madhi.
Oh yeah, good.
With
Beautiful.
huwa. So looking for an outside dua, lillahi is jar, so not rafa. Ma no, fi samawati, fi is samawati is an ism. So fi is the half of jar, and samawati is wal ard. Wa is half ataf, and ardi is maktuf on the fi, I suppose. Ardi is also jar.
Yes. So this is ataf and the ma'tuf. Exactly. Beautiful. So what do you think about ma?
This one I have to go to the meaning, so it's not. So I think it's a what, so it's a mausul.
Yes.
Okay, so the skies and the earth is silatu mausul.
Yes, this is silatu mausul. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So okay, so let's look at the meaning. Sabbaha lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ardi. Who do you think is doing the tasbih? Who's doing the action of sabbah? So that means what is ma?
The mausul is the outside door?
Yes. Oops.
Okay.
So now we have ma here is our fa'il. Okay, so we're going to type it here. This is our fa'il. Fa'il. And now normally what I like to do is whenever we have a jar majroor, it's always going to be muta'alliq to something, right? So we'll say muta'alliqani. I'm not going to type the whole thing. Like for example, here we had lillahi. So lam harf jar, laftul jalala isim majroor, and together they are muta'alliqani to sabbaha, right? So I'm not going to type in muta'alliqani to sabbaha as long as you understand the concept, so we can save some time. And of course here again, fi samawati, fi harf jar, as-samawati isim majroor. So again, this is going to be muta'alliqani. And it's important to know it's متعلق to what? متعلقان to سبح. Again, you can say متعلقان بالفعل or متعلقان بالخبر. Whichever way you want to say, it doesn't really matter. I normally advise people to say متعلق to a specific thing, because jar majroor, it can be متعلق to فاعل, it can be متعلق to فعل, it can be متعلق to خبر, it can be متعلق to صفة, it can be متعلق to anything. That's the thing about jar majroor. So it's important to say متعلق to سبح or متعلق to, but if you're comfortable with just متعلق بالخبر or متعلق بالفعل, it's also fine. All right.
Okay.
So there's a
So,
question here.
so it's
Maybe before you
متعلق
continue.
to
Go on. Yeah.
is متعلق to what?
سبح.
Sabaha. And you're supposed to know that just because of meaning or
Yes.
just
Yeah, mostly
okay.
the meaning will tell you what it is متعلق
Okay.
to.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
All right. So
That's
Fawzia
about
says here,
maximum capacity.
yes. Just like the
Thanks.
fa'il was coming after the MBF, can maf'ul also come after MBF? Can maf'ul come after? Yes. Yeah, maf'ul can come after the MBF. So you can have taqdeem in that sense as well. Yeah. And again, that's an important point to note, because you can see this is the fa'il. Normally, what is the order when we are looking at jumla fi'liya? We look at the order fi'il, fa'il, maf'ul, muta'alliq. That's the standard order. Anything that goes out of this order, something special is happening. So you can see clearly just from the Nahw that lillahi is muqaddam, because it came before the fa'il. Normally it's fi'il then fa'il. So now that the muta'alliq is before, it's muqaddam, then we immediately, we know something is happening in this ayah already. Because you can see this one, the second muta'alliq was fine. But this first muta'alliq, something is happening with it. So something special is happening here. Good question, good observation there. All right. Now I think the way we are doing this is clear. Fauzia, you want to also participate? And Samia, you guys want to participate? Because I see your hands are raised. So that we can...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to.
Okay, great. So let's see here. So we have 3 ayat. So what we're going to do is let Ima finish the first ayah. Then Fauzia, you can do the second ayah. And Sayyida Samia, you can do the third ayah. I think that'll be good.
Okay, wa is harf ataf. Wa is it's just is it mubtada?
Yes. Beautiful.
Al-Azizul khabar, and second khabar al-Hakim.
Beautiful. So we have khabar 1 and khabar 2. And we're doing khabar and khabar 1 and khabar 2. Why? Because these are the names of Allah. Some books will consider this sifa 1 and sifa 2. I prefer the khabar discussion, but also the sifa discussion is there, just so you know. All right. So that's it. You can see actually the ayat of the Quran, the i'rab is very easy compared to what I'm doing with another group with Ta'bir al-Qur'ani, which is very hard. The i'rab of the Quran is always just simple jumla ismiyas, fi'liyas. You can see mubtada khabar. That's it. No complications, but the gems inside of the Quran, endless. So, yeah. And by the way, guys, if anybody has a question, feel free to just jump in and ask. All right, great. Fauzia, we can do ayah number 2.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yuhyi wa yumit.
Oh, it starts from lahu.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Lahul mulku samawati wal ard. So lahu is jar majroor. Because
what does that make it?
la
If it's a
is-
jar majroor, what does it mean?
It makes it mutalik to something, but I don't know yet because
Yes.
I want to read further.
Exactly.
And then mulku, clearly ism. Mulku samawati wal ard. So that's also mudaf ilay. Yeah.
But what do you see on mulk?
Well, I don't see a tanween.
And
I
what
see a
status
dhamma,
is it?
and this is the
Yes.
first. Yeah, so it's a first rafa, so that'll become a mubtada.
And of
And
course, the
because it's mudaf
samawati.
ilayh, so of course samawati, yeah, it's showing us the jar status. It could have been samawati. It could have been nasab, but we know it's going to be jar because it's a mudaf ilayh.
Exactly.
And then we have waw ataf, and then al ardi, again showing us jar status. So it's ataf and matuf.
Beautiful.
So we just have the mutaliq bil khabar and mubtada here.
Right. Yeah. So that's your jumla ismiya, right? Now,
Yes,
tell me,
yes.
is there anything special happening here? Because now we have muta'alliq is muqaddam.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
ikhtisas.
exactly. So you already start to see some of the gems we are going to be extracting from this ayah. So mulku samawati is proper. Normally, when mubtada comes after jar majroor, we expect it to be common. Li qalam, right? But here, it's proper. So something special is also happening in this ayah.
So
Right?
we've got special things happening because we've got the mutaliq bil khabar muqaddam and the mubtada as proper after the mutaliq
Yes.
bil khabar.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay, great.
So yuhi?
Do you want me to go on?
Yes.
Yuhyi wa yumitu. Yuhyi is fail madi.
Yuhi. Ahya yuhi.
Ahya yuhyi. Oh, fail mudari. Ahya yuhyi. Okay.
Yes.
And waw ataf and yumit.
Same pattern as yuhi.
So it's again mudari.
So this is amata yumitu.
I was
Same
thinking
family.
about that. Okay. Amata yumitu. Okay. Then waw ataf again.
Yes. And
And
also
then
it can be
huwa.
something else.
Yeah. Waw
This wow.
haliya.
Yes.
So
Running
and
out
then
of
huwa
space.
is mubtada. And ala kulli shayin qadir becomes khabar. No, sorry. Jar majroor. So ala kulli. And then kulli shayin. And then qadir is the rafa status. So that's mubtada khabar.
Yes.
The second rafa status.
Exactly. So you can see already that this muta'alliq, this jar majroor is kind of connected because you have ala harf jar, kulli ism majroor, kulli is a special mudaf, and then shay'in is a mudaf ilayh, right? And of course, like you said, qadir would be al khabar. Tell me, anything special happening in this ayah?
Yes, you've got your mutaliq bil khabar coming before the khabar, whereas it should be after the khabar. It's mubtada
Exactly.
khabar mutaliq bil khabar, and here we have it before.
So far, you're seeing something special happening in every single portion of the ayah. Every single section of the ayah, something special is happening. Now, the other thing I didn't point out is that what could be the connection between yuhi and what came before? So you have this sentence, and then you have yuhi. Can you think of a connection that could be there? Not here.
Hal.
Hal. Yeah, this is the hal. The hal of the pronoun who. In other words, Allah. It goes back to Allah. Right? He is the one.
Yeah. He's the one who is living.
Yes, causing life and causing death. So this hal goes back to him. And we shall see how the difference in meaning, if we say this yuhi is a hal, what is the implication in meaning? If we say this yuhi, if we say, okay, there's no relationship between this portion of the ayah and the previous one, so therefore this yuhi is just a new sentence, what is the implication of that? Already, you are having ideas. Just by going through the grammar, you're already having ideas of how you can look at this surah or how you can understand this surah and the different implications that, or the gems that you could get from it. Can yumitu be ataf? Yes, it is ataf. It is ma'tuf. The waw is harf ataf, and then yumit is ma'tuf to yuhyi. So they together they kind of form the hal section, right? Yes. All right. Any other questions? Are we good? Are we already starting to appreciate the gems? That just from doing the grammar, we haven't even gone to other things. Okay, great. Now we can go to ayah number 3. Sayyida Samia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, so we have Zamir Munfasal Huwa in Marfu'. So it is a mubtada.
Exactly.
Then we have the whole rest of the sentence is the khabar. And we have matuf ala matuf. So the first one is al-awwalu. It is marfu'. And then we have waw, which is matuf on awwalu. So akharu, al-akharu is also marfu'. Then we have another waw, matuf on awwalu, and we have zahiru, it is also marfu. Then we have batinu, and this is also marfu. So there's a string of marfu attached together with ataf, and all of them are acting as a khabar of huwa.
Exactly.
And strangely enough, what I see is there is no waw over here. So it is altogether a separate sentence.
Yes.
Hmm.
So another important thing that you just noticed, normally, look, we just did the names of Allah here. And we said, Mubtada, Khabar 1, Khabar 2. That's what we said. But there was no harf atif, right? So that's why we said Khabar 1, we said Khabar 2. But here, we are saying Atuf and Ma'tuf. So already, you're seeing something different in this ayah as well. Why? Because there's harf atif, wa. Normally, when the names of Allah come in the Quran, they come without harf atif. Azizun Hakim, Alimun Khabir, Sami'un Basir, Hayyul Qayyum. They don't come with harf atif. So what is this wow doing here? Again, already you're starting to ask yourself questions. How am I going to understand this wow? So that's the importance of doing Nahw and yani, pairing it up with Balagha studies and just coming up with gems from the Quran. And again, you can see the structures of the Quranic sentences. Very basic. Mubtada khabar. And then harf atif. Or fi'l madi mudari' fa'il muta'alliq. Very simple, very basic, but very, very rich. Yeah. All right, let's go to the second part.
With this one, wa, okay.
Yes.
Wa, it can be taken as an ataf, it can be taken as a haliya also.
Exactly.
So both ways we can take them. Then we have huwa, marfuq zamir munfasal, acting as mubtada. Then we have bi, harf jar, amalan over kulla. Kulla is a special mudaf. Kulli. It is majroor because of bi. Then we have shay'in. It is majroor, acting as mudaf alayhi to kulli.
Exactly.
And this whole fragment, bi kulli shay'in, is muta'alliq bil khabar. Muqaddam. And is muqaddam.
Yes, it is muqaddam.
Yeah. And then we have alimun, which is another marfu' ism.
Which makes it.
So this will make it as a khabar of huwa. So we have a jumla ismiya, we have a mubtada, we have muta'alliq bil khabar muqaddam, and we have khabar mu'akhar.
Yep. And again, another simple sentence. But again, we notice something special is happening here, right? Because of the muqaddam. So far, all the 3 ayat in every section we have mentioned something special is happening. Let me highlight for you so that you can actually appreciate what we're talking about. So lillahi, it's muqaddam, something special happening about in that part of the ayah. And then, oh, by the way, here could also be waw haliya. I forgot to mention that. Right? That waw could also be haliya. Lahu, muqaddam. I didn't highlight. Okay, I don't know why it won't highlight. Okay, anyway, you understand. Lahu. And then you have ala kulli shay'in. Again, another. And then you have this idea that you have harf atuf waw between the names of Allah, which is something odd. And then you have bi kulli shay'in again, muqaddam. So in every part, in every ayah, there is something special happening. You can clearly see that. And we're
I
going
also
to...
see one more.
Yes?
You see this Qadir, Alim,
Uh-huh.
Khabar. Khabar normally is nakra, right? But in the other sentence, we see all the khabar marfa. Al-awwalu, al-akhiru, al-zahiru, al-batin.
Yes. And why is that? What do you think?
Mm.
Because these are the names of Allah. The names of Allah don't come without al. So just like Al-Aziz,
Qadir and
Al-Hakim.
Alim are not sifa. Qadir and Alim are not sifa.
This, yes, they are. Al-Qadir, for example, is the name of Allah. Qadir, we can say Rajulun Qadirun. We can say Rajulun Alimun. It can be used for other people. But when we say Al-Qadir, we are specifically referring to Allah. When we're saying Al-Alim, then we're specifically referring to Allah. So that's why in this case, it has al on it, because we're saying he is the first, and he is the last, and he is the obvious, and he is the hidden. These are names of Allah, and they're used as names also in this particular. And yes, you can clearly see that there's a waw haliya a lot, and we would see the different meanings that it gives when you have a waw haliya. It's just gonna blow your mind, I'm telling you. Simple ayat, very basic grammar, but just a lot is being said. Subhanallah. That is why the Quran is such, they call it brief. It has such brevity, but it's powerful language. Any other questions or clarification as far as the grammar is concerned? Yeah, so you can note down some of the questions that you may be having. Why is this? Why is that? You know, and hopefully you can see if we answer them in the explanation as well. And I've tried to point out some key gems that you can also extract on your own before we explain this ayat. All right. So now we have the Sarf section, which is the next section. And we just have a few words here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. So what we can do, since there are 3 participants, we can do 2 each. Unless there's anybody else who wants to participate, please again feel free. Raise your hand and let me know. Okay. Ima, you want to try the first 2? Sarf?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sabbaha.
Yes.
Jither is seen ba. Oh, seen ba ha.
Yes. Which family do you think it is?
Allama. Family 2.
Yes. Family 2, exactly.
Tira fi'il madi.
Yes.
Sarf sari.
Okay, we'll just do up to isim fa'il. I normally don't do the entire sarf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Sabbaha yusabbihu tasbihan. فهو مسبح.
Yes, musabbihan.
Ooh.
And of course, we already found it. So when I find it, I like to highlight it. But maybe I can just copy it.
Sarf kabir.
So now we're going to do the sarf kabir of sabbaha. Now that we found it, And again, we're only going to do up to the plural, the home version. I don't do the entire thing. So huwa sabbaha, huma.
هو سبحا هما سبحا هم سبحوا.
Exactly. And then if you want at your own free time, you can do the entire sarf. The point again is if we go through an entire surah, I want us to be able to understand the Nahw of the entire surah, the sarf of all the major words in that surah, so that if, you know, we're conjugating sabbaha, we can sabahna, sabbahu, sabbahtum. We can be able to just pull out the words in our own heads. So you can do this in your own time as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know the meaning? Do you know what it means?
Tasbih, what is that? Glorify?
Yes. Glorify, exalt. These are some of the words that are used for sabbaha. What Ustad likes to use is to declare perfection. So he declared
the perfection. The perfection.
Exactly. He declared the perfection. Okay. Yuhyi.
فعل مضارع.
مضارع.
Ya.
Yes.
A family, I don't know. Yeah.
4.
Family
Aslama.
4. Aslama? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so yi.
So aslama.
Aslama yuslimu islaman fahuwa muslimun. So I don't know. I don't know.
So we're gonna put
ahya.
ya. Ahya.
Ahya yuhyi.
Yes.
Yuhyi.
Exactly. I know it's a hard word.
Muhyi.
Muhyin. Yes.
Muhyin. Okay.
Yeah. I know this one because it's naqis. So obviously it's not an easy one. So you can see it's lafif maqroon. It has 2 years at the end. So it's one of the toughest words in sarf.
Okay. هو this is هو يحيي هما يحييان هم يحيون.
يحيون. Exactly.
So huma is yuhyiyani?
Yes.
Okay, yuhyuna. Okay, got it.
Yeah. With the dual version, not much happens. It just normally you just add the ani. It's the home version where changes happen. So you can see in the home version we killed 1 year. 1 year it merged with we killed it.
Okay. Yeah. Meaning I don't know.
So hayya to be alive, or hayya to be alive. When you take it to family 4, it means to make someone alive, which means to give life, right? So he
gives life?
Exactly. He gives life. And that's why sarf is important. When you understand one version of the, if you understand it in family 1, you can put it in family 2, family 3, and just derive the meaning from there.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you too. Great job. Fauzia, you can do this next 2. Let's see how we do.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Amata Yumitu.
And
it's
you said
so it's
family
going to
4.
be Mimyata.
Wow, Mimwauta. Good guess.
Yeah, because well, because of the meme and yumitu, that's why I was guessing that.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's mudare. So it's amata yumitu imyan.
So Islaman.
So im isla imyanan. No, imatan.
Yes, imatatan.
So you would say matatan.
Yes.
Not
although this is a word that is not used a lot. Maut is more used.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Okay. and
فهو مسلم.
ممتم. No,
مسلم.
no, no. Muslimun, yeah.
Just,
Mumi.
yes.
Yeah, I'm trying. Mumitun.
Yes. Fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, struggle with it. I love this. I love the way you struggle with it until you fight it. You're like, yes, this is it. That's good. Yeah.
Okay. So we're doing mudare.
Yes, yumitu. This is what we're doing.
Wow. Yumitu, yumyan, you know. Yumitu. Then
What do we do with dual? What do we normally add?
Ani, but I don't know how to. Okay,
Just
so
add
it's
it.
where did the ya go?
Yumitani. Yeah.
Oh, it's yumitani. Yumituna.
Exactly.
Well, that becomes easy. Okay.
There you go.
So he gives death.
Yes. He gives death or he causes death.
Okay.
All right. This one, it's a bit, let me just be frank, it's a bit tough, but we're going to figure it out together, inshallah.
Okay. Inshallah. So it's al-awwal. This is not, this is mushtaq. It's not, there's sarf to this.
Yes, there is actually.
Oh,
I know it feels like it should just be like jamid, but it's not.
Yes. Okay. Awwal, so is it okay, I have to revise myself now. Yeah,
I'm gonna help
it
you.
has the
I'm gonna
hamza.
give you the jidr, and then we can
Okay,
help.
great.
We can figure out the process. Okay, so it's
All right.
awala.
Awala. It looks like family 2 because of the shadda.
Yes, but it's not.
Oh, all right. So then it has to be family 4.
It's not family 4 either. It's family 1. I'm gonna give you the family. It's Nasara family. It's a hard one, I know.
There was no way I was going to guess this. Okay.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you the sigha, and then we can figure out the sarf together. Because once I give you all the building blocks, then you can be able to sort of kind of build it. This is actually ism tafdil. Because again, just think about the meaning. The first. It's like a superlative verb, isn't it? A superlative word, isn't it?
Yes.
The first, the
Yes.
last.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is tafdil. Ism tafdil. Now that it is ism tafdil, and I've given you the jidr awala. So now,
awala.
Yeah, normally it should be awala ya wulu, but they don't like that kind of awa. They don't like hamza and waw together like that. So they say ala.
Ala. So ya wulu would become
the verb, the mudara. Ala ya'ulu.
Okay.
And then this awl is the masdar. Okay. Now, when it comes to the isim fa'il, that's when things start getting weird a little bit. Because now this isim fa'il is instead of wilun, so it's supposed to be wilun, we have yilun.
Oh.
Weird things that happen there. Because we expected fa'ilun, wilun. Yeah. Yes, actually it is mahmuz.
Okay.
Yeah, this is mahmuz and ajwaf at the same time. So a lot of complications happening here. So if you to do the sarf,
won't we treat it as lafif?
Won't we do it?
Lafif?
Latif?
Lafif.
Lafif. No,
lafif
this is no, we won't treat it as lafif. This because it's mahmuz and ajwaf.
Okay.
So lafif is only when you have a weak letter, either separated or together. And hamza is not considered a weak letter, by the way. Waw and ya are the weak letters. Hamza is not a weak letter.
All right. Okay. Got it. Jazakallah khair.
So yeah, this one was a tough one. Even for me, I had to look it up, to be honest. Like I was like, what is going on here? So now when you find it, isim tafdil. Now, when you're doing, for example, if you're looking at a word like akbar, that is an isim tafdil, right? Asghar, atwal, abyad. No, abyad is something else. Sorry about that. Let's say akbar. So if we were to take this jither and put it in akbar, what do you think we'll have? Just say whatever comes in you when you do akbar, when you do hamza, waw, and lam in akbar. What do you have? Go on.
Vala.
Yes. Yeah, you have a'walu, right? A'walu. Now, there's a problem here because Arabs don't like this.
Too many. Yeah.
Yeah, so many. Like this is a complication. So what they decided, they were like, how do we fix it? So they decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make this hamza, we're going to turn it into a waw. You see, like here in ayilu, the waw turned into a hamza. The waw turned into a ya. Why? Because kasra loves ya. Waw loves dhamma. So they were like, kasra and waw don't go together so much. They don't really have they don't even look alike. Waw looks like a dhamma. A dhamma looks like a tiny waw or something. So they're like, no, let's change the waw into a ya so that the kasra fits in nicely. That's kind of like what happened with this one. So when they came to this one, they were like, what we're going to do is we're going to turn this hamza into a waw, right? So we have now aw walu.
Awala. That's we know that word.
Yeah. And now you have two waws. What do we do when you have two of the same letters? When you have two of the same letters, what do we do?
We make it tashdid.
Yes.
Shadda.
Yeah, we put a shadda
That's
on
why
it,
we
put a
put
crown on it.
Oh, now we know why
Ta-da.
that happens. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So it went through a lot of transformations to get to where a lot of plastic surgery happened in this word. And there we found it.
Yes.
All right. So obviously, I when such words, I don't do the sarf kabir of it because it causes more complication. There's no need. You can do al-awwal, al-awwalani, al-awwaluna. It's fine.
Yeah, I was ready for that, but okay, you did
it. Okay, let's do it then. No problem. Okay.
Because then it's easier.
Yeah, this one is easier too. Al-awwaluna. All right. And of course, we know what it means. What does it mean?
The first.
The first. Yes, Arshi, all of us, sarf, if you don't practice it a lot, it will leave you. And that's why I insist whenever I'm doing this series, I have to do the sarf. Even if we don't use the sarf much in the explanation, but I have to do the sarf. Why? Because of practice, so that we can be able to understand this. If you don't practice sarf, you would forget it, especially advanced sarf. Oh, you need a lot of practice. So that's a good point. We all need it. Sayyida Samia, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Like, for example, if you make if it's a tabdeel like akbaru, it is still related to the meaning of kabara, like he became bigger or more, greater, whatever it is. But when you see the meaning of ala ya'awulu, to my best understanding, it means to return or to turn into something. So how do you tie this meaning to this tafdeel?
It also has the meaning to advance, to what's the other meaning? It has the meaning of it's not proceed or to let me just check real quickly the exact word, but it has the meaning of fast in a way.
Okay.
So while I check that and confirm, maybe we can go to the next one and then I'll confirm and I'll let you know. You will see the meaning how it comes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
So now while you're there, we can do the sarf of the next one.
Okay, so az-zahir looks like an ism file, and the root letters was, ha, and ra. Okay. So Zol, Ha, and Ra. And it seems to be, to my best of knowledge, I think it comes from Fataha family.
Mm-hmm. ظهر يظهر.
Zahara Yazharu. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Zahara. And I think the masdar is Zuhur. Am
Yeah,
I right?
that's one of them, yes.
Zahrun
Mm-hmm.
is also that, I think. Zahrun
Yeah.
is also that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ظهر. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
فهو
if you go to sorry,
اسم فاعل فهو
فهو, what do you mean فهو?
ده اسم فاعل, so we're doing the صرف صغير, so فاعل
Oh,
مضارع
Zahra Yazharu. فهو Zahirun.
ظاهرا, exactly, and that's the one we're looking for, isn't it?
Zahirun.
Yeah. So we
You want me
found
to
it.
do the Mudari? That will be Yazharu, Yazharani,
No, we're
and
going to do the
Yazharu.
ظاهر. So the word we are doing the صرف is ظاهر.
Right. And the meaning is to be visible. The literal meaning of this verb is to be visible. So
Yes.
someone who is visible, rather, we can say.
ظاهرون, yes. So you have meanings like the visible is fine, but you can also use obvious. You can use apparent. These are words that are
Right.
used for ظاهر.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Let's do the
Okay.
last one.
Al-Batin. The root word seems to be ba, ta, and noon.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also sitting on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is Nasara family, if I'm
Yes.
not.
This
Yeah.
is Nasara family.
So it is Batana Yaktunu.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So no. Mm-hmm.
And I think the masdar is also on the same pattern. Butunun and Batnun.
Yes. So the masdar can be button or butun. Yeah. Butuni ummahatikum, and yeah, the plural of button is fine. Mm-hmm.
Huwa batinun. So we got
And
the
batin.
answer.
Exactly. We found it.
And batana, I think, means to be hidden. So you will say
Yes.
something hidden.
Yes.
Not obvious, not apparent, concealed, maybe.
So the opposite of dahir, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the hidden, actually the most correct meaning is the innermost.
Innermost. Oh,
yeah.
Right. This sounds better. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other meanings as well, but those are some of the meanings. So if you look at a translation, for example, these are some of the meanings that you would find.
Jazakallah khair.
وإياكم جزاكم الله خير. Okay, so yeah, that brings us to the end of today's session. So we've done the Nahw, we've done the Sarf. Next week, we'll just see how all this comes together in the explanation bit of it. And then the week after that, again, Nahw and Sarf, and then explanation, and that's how we do it. So I was just looking at this ala ya'ulu, some of the meanings. To lead, that's, yeah. To lead is, I think this being fast comes from the meaning of leading. So ala ya'ulu, to lead someone. So the leader is the fast, isn't it? Like to be on the front, basically, that means you're leading, and therefore you're the fast. And I think that's where the meaning comes from again.
Okay,
Yeah.
the word that we use for, generations like Ala Musa and all this thing, what is that? Is
So
it
that's
something else?
yeah, that is, it could be jamid. It won't come from this. That one that is not sulfifiable. So alun.
Oh, okay. Jazakallah khair. Learn something new. Always do in your session. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I'm also learning a lot. Alhamdulillah. That's great. Any other questions or clarifications before we finally end? Alhamdulillah, Eva. It wasn't, yeah, but you did so great. Yeah. So don't be scared. Like fear is a thing that really stops us from progress. So once you cross over that and you realize, oh, I can actually do it. And again, you see how easy the ayat of the Quran are. Like I've done this. This is the third time I'm doing this. And so far, like you find just maybe one or two words here and there that are maybe difficult, especially when it comes to Sarf. Like, look at the Sarf we did. Okay, maybe this one is not the best example because we had a little bit of yuhi, which is naqis and awwal. But most of it, ظهر, يظهر, فتح family, سبح, يسبح, very easy words, very easy sentence structures. It's just that we hold ourselves back. No problem, Sayyida Samia. We'll be ending anyway. So thank you so much, guys, for coming. Unless there's any final question or clarification, I think this is a good point to end if there's nothing.
Just to be clear, the double class for this set of ayat is next week or at a different daytime?
Next week, same time,
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
do the explanation. So
Okay,
all
got
these
it.
classes are at the same time, same day. But
Got it.
just we alternate between Nahw and Sarf and explanation like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just to point out, sometimes the Nahw takes shorter than the explanation. So I might combine like the Nahw for this ayat 1, 2, 3. So I made a section of, like, let me show you the section. So I have 10 sections, and this is how I combine the ayah. So sometimes maybe ayah 4 to 6 takes shorter. So I might go into ayah 7 and 9 just so that we can cover that 1 hour mark. And then
Okay.
explanation takes longer. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you guys so much. وإياكم جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. See you guys next week.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.